Hey, we see you, Saint Garcia Saturn. Anybody that slandered the world government, slandered the Gorosei, they can't do that anymore. This dude went crazy. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was not expecting it to be in this chapter because typically whenever there is a big reveal like this, we usually go on break, but we're not gonna be on break for, I believe, another 2 weeks. So that's pretty cool, and everything that transpired in this chapter is going to be insane for the rest of the arc. But what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Potential Unleashed. I am back with another One Piece chapter review. This is One Piece chapter 1094. It is titled Gorosei, Science, Defense, Deity, Saint Garcia Saturn. Really interesting chapter, and you can probably tell by the title it involves him. And there's still Luffy fighting Kizaru going on. It's really crazy and I want to talk about it. But if you guys enjoy regular anime content, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. With that, my name is Potential Unleashed, and let's get into the review. We know the pecking orders when it comes to the Pacifista and Atlas and the other Vegapunks. We're headed down to save Boney and try and take over the Pacifistas, and they respond to Atlas's cry. They end up changing sides and they start attacking the different Marines. So now we have a little bit more firepower. So we have Atlas, Vegapunk, I believe Frankie and Sanji. They're headed downwards in order to go and save Boney. I find it interesting because they're like, hey, where the fluff is Boney at? And then Sanji, he's like, oh, I can see her because of my lady detector or my lady radar. And you know, that's not a real thing, and that's just something exclusive to Sanji. But I like how Vegapunk just went along with it. I mean, Frankie obviously went along with it because he's used to it, but Vegapunk's like, that's probably not really scientific, but I probably should trust you on that. And then we see Sanji as they are trying to descend. He's like, oh, well, you guys are going too slow. And this man just zooms, takes off, and goes and tries and saves Boney. Boney, she is still fighting off different Marines, and she's also having a hard time when it comes to the Pacifista because obviously those are based after Kuma, and that is her father. So it's kind of weird when she's trying to, I guess, either have to fight him or try and avoid his attacks because that's obviously a father figure. Think of kind of like if somebody, like I guess you could say Naruto or reanimated Jutsu, when Itachi came back, how that must have hurt Sasuke. And there was other characters that came back during that jutsu as well, but going against people that you've already killed or going against people that you have some form of relationship with, it's going to be tough. I also like that Boney, she had an attack, it's called the near-death experience, and she used it, and there were kind of these Marines that they were normal, then they went and turned to a skeleton and they were back to normal, kind of crying, obviously because it's a near-death experience. So they experienced death pretty much, nearly. And I think that it's a really interesting attack. I like it. It's pretty cool. There is a vice admiral that is riding on one of the Pacifista. The name is Vice Admiral Bluegrass, and she has the ability, or the stick tick fruit, it makes her a skilled driver and she can ride on anything. And as she is riding this Pacifista, Sanji comes in, swoops in and saves Boney. He picks her up saying, hey, you gotta snap out of it. I know that Kuma is your dad, but these aren't your dad, and Kuma, he's not going to be the person that you want him to be. And so she has to, and I know it's hard, and I'm not saying that she has to do it right away, but she has to accept that and move on. And so Sanji, he does his thing when it comes to women. He picks her up, he gets her out of harm's way, he takes out, and I know, well, it takes off. I know a lot of people, they're going to clown him on Twitter because it's Sanji and because he is a vice admiral. They're going to talk about, oh, well, Sanji ended up running away from a vice admiral. No, Sanji is probably stronger than every single vice admiral in the series except for probably Garp, and the reason why he is running away is because he is trying to get Boney out of harm's way. There is Luffy and Kizaru. They are still fighting, and then Kizaru, he's like, hey, you're in the way of my mission, boy. And Luffy's like, well, yeah, that's my job. And Kizaru, he ends up taking off, and Luffy's like, hey, where are you going? He's trying to go after him. And then they cut to Zoro, Lucci, and there's also Kizaru and Luffy. They're in the same panel. Obviously, their observation hockey is going off in this instance because there's other people as well, the different vice admirals, the different Straw Hat members. They're like, there's somebody's presence that is here, and then all of a sudden somebody says stop Pacifista, and the only person that is above the Stellas and Vegapunk in the pecking order is Saint Garcia Saturn, or a member of the Gorosei. So Saint Garcia Saturn has finally made his move. It's really interesting that this scene is happening because it's like a little magic circle. I'm thinking like something out of, I don't know, like you're trying to summon a forbidden beast like in Yu-Gi-Oh, like special summoning the Magician of Black Chaos, a summoning jutsu and alchemy circle. I don't freaking know, but there's just a big circle on the ground and Saint Garcia Saturn is appearing here, and apparently the lower level Marines aren't allowed, or lower level beings aren't allowed to see him in this form, because once he appears, he ends up, well, killing one lower level Marine that saw him. So I can only imagine that all the other ones are going to be killed as well. And we see his form. It appears to be an awakened zone because he has the similar clouds that Luffy has and that Lucci has when they were awakened around him, and he looks like a spider bull-like creature. Now, I plan on doing a video this Friday talking about his form and everything that transpired in this chapter into more detail, but I did want to look up what exactly his creature was, or what we could speculate it is, and based off of what I saw, like I said, I just did a quick search. I looked up a spider bull yokai, and it ended up popping up the name of an Ushi Oni. Like I mentioned, I'll go into more detail about what I find after I do more research in the future, and that will be posted on Friday. But I will say, Saint Garcia Saturn, the design is kind of cool, but this brother is ugly. Like, I'm talking ugly. But it's a lot of chaos that's happening with what appears to be like this final boss that has appeared. Luffy, he's still trying to save the Straw Hats and Vegapunk because Kizaru, he chased after him, and Luffy, he ends up kicking Kizaru. He hits him with a White Star gun, and then Kizaru, he, after receiving the attack, says something like, "This is bad." And then Luffy, he's like, oh, he reached his limit in that form, and so he's going out of it. And so there's Frankie, Sanji, Boney, there's Vegapunk at last, and I believe Kizaru and Saint Garcia Saturn along with Luffy, they are all in the same vicinity, all in the same space. And Luffy's kind of tired, so he's out of his form. And granted, we've seen him pump back into his form when he went against Kaido, so I wouldn't be surprised if he could do that. But right now, it's Sanji and Luffy, and I know there's other people here, but really Sanji and Luffy versus Kizaru and Saint Garcia Saturn. And it also makes more of a point to why Sabo, I don't want to say he freaked out, but when he saw the forms of these individuals, he was like, oh shoot, like this is getting for real. And it also makes mention to why the Gorosei, well, number one, Emu as well was there, but why they're trying to get rid of Sabo and why they're trying to get rid of, well, got rid of Koba, because of what they bear witness to, and seeing Emu and seeing them in these forms. And well, we know that lower level Marines and probably common people in general really shouldn't be looking at them. I mentioned all the people that were here. Boney, she ends up taking a sword and she ends up stabbing Saint Garcia Saturn. I'm really not concerned. I mean, he's strong, but like, this is Boney trying to get her get back, because what appears to me is like he was the one who was the main reason for why Kuma is what he is. So obviously Boney's pissed, is going to try to attack him. I don't really think it's going to do much damage, and he's probably going to brush it off. Because of what he said when he saw Luffy, he mentioned Nika. I really do think that Luffy is going to fight against Saint Garcia Saturn, and that would leave Sanji to go against Kizaru. And I think it would make a little bit more sense now, because Luffy, I don't know how much he weakened him, but in fighting against Kizaru all this time in Snake Man in Gear 5th, he has to have been a little bit weakened. And if he is, I think Sanji can be more than enough, not necessarily to defeat him, but to hold his own, so while Vegapunk, while Frankie, and the others can escape. Really interesting chapter. I know a lot of other One Piece YouTubers are going to talk about everything that transpired in this one, about what the matchups are now going to be about, Saint Garcia Saturn, his form, about Boney, and her different powers and what she was able to do. I know I'm going to talk about it, but let me know how you guys felt about this chapter in the comment section below. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is on the screen and in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.